It's time to break down episode 8 of The Amazing Race, season 37. So here's the deal. The teams are still in Bulgaria, which I love because it was the first time location for the race. And we kind of saw the countryside aspect the last episode. Yeah. So now we're kind of like in the heart of the city.
I feel like for this season, they've been very good about not just going to a place once.
Yes.
They've been staying multiple times, at least.
Which I think is a good use of it, because I mean, sometimes you don't really have to do that much on a leg. So it's like, it's nice to see them do kind of all these different activities that are very specific to the culture. So the teams drive into the city, into Bulgaria to start the next leg. The teams are made aware of an express pass that's up for grabs, which will require you to walk over hot coals, which is crazy. Couldn't be my journey. But anyway, okay, the ritual, this hot coal ritual, okay. So first of all, Alyssa and Josiah were kind of in the, like they were in the lead from the last leg. So they basically decide like they're going to do it. And the funny thing about the express pass to me is I don't know if this is every season, I can't remember or not, but it's like this season specifically, it's been like, if one couple decides to go and do it, then it's like everyone else is just like, all right, that's a waste of our time. They got it.
I thought that was kind of weird too. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, if you think that they're already there and getting it, why waste your time to go out of your way?
That's true, and there's only one, and this one wasn't that complicated. So they go, and basically, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before. I've seen it before, but I forgot people still did those. But basically, it's just this kind of like row of hot coals, and you have to walk over it, where they call it a fire walking ritual. And this is the thing apparently you do in Bulgaria. So although it was like fire and hot coals, and I wouldn't want to do it, the challenge wasn't that hard. They essentially both just had to get from one side to the other, and then they could get the express pass.
They did it so fast. Yeah. And I was telling you.
Well, what are you going to do, walk over it slow?
Well, it just seemed, I feel like for challenges.
Yes, give me the pain longer.
I feel like for challenges, they're usually a little bit more complicated and not like done like that, you know?
Yeah, that's true. So it's funny how it works. I don't know. But anyway, so then all the teams are tasked to travel to Lake Ariana to partake in a Jordan J tradition, searching for a crucifix kind of in the water. And in exchange, they get a clue. This was actually really cool. Fun because it was simple, but it was like a cute way of being very integrated with the locals and the culture. So essentially, you hop into this little lake, and they're all kind of like excited and dancing in their little outfits, and you just jump in and join them, and then you just reach down and grab the crucifix. It wasn't that hard, but
I don't know. It's very interesting to see that because I've never heard of that.
No, me either.
Just that the priest just on the bridge throws it in there, and then it's kind of funny though too because some of the teams like just fully submerged themselves to grab it, and then Jonathan kind of just reached down. Did you? This is kind of random, but did you notice that like 90% of the teams like got into their swimsuit or something, you know, for that. And then Jonathan and Anna just walked in with their full-on clothes.
I was thinking the same thing because the first team, I think it was like Brett and Mark, they got there and they had like swimsuits, which I was like, we haven't really seen this before. And then you see other teams, and then I got to them and I was like, they're not changing? Like they just were like, that's gonna take up too much time or what? I didn't understand that. But anyway, so that was kind of fun and cute and whatever. After this, the teams are instructed that they can no longer travel by taxi for the rest of the leg. Okay, if you're watching and you're still with us, keep that in mind because this is important for later. Okay, so then all the teams travel to the library at Sofia University to translate a Bible verse from Cyrillic to English. Now, let me just say, this would be hard, okay? Well, if you didn't know the drill, because basically you were given like—
it was a cipher.
Yeah, and then essentially the whole thing was you could translate if you flipped it around. But if you didn't know that, you were stuck. And that's what happened to like half the teams knew that and half didn't, so.
Let's be honest, who's actually used a cipher?
No, I didn't even know what it was, so I watched this.
Unless you're like maybe an archaeologist or, you know, like a transcribe. You know, you're not going to use a cipher to translate anything, probably.
No.
And how would you know to look on the back?
That's what I'm saying. So that's what's funny is you had like Alyssa and Josiah got help from Jonathan and Anna. And then what was killing me was this like kind of Erica and Melinda decided to make a pact with Han and Holden, but then neither of them could figure it out. So then Han and Holden make a like little other backhanded deal with Carson and Jack while Melinda and Erica are away, and they essentially all end up helping each other. But nobody could figure this out. Like it really made me laugh.
Well, here's the thing too that Carson and Jack even called it out. Carson and Jack figured it out before Han and Holden did.
Yeah.
And then Han and Holden made them that pact with them, and then Han and Holden get it first, so they go off, check their clue, and then when Carson and Jack come back, they waited for him. They're like, we're gonna tell Melinda and Erica how to do it. That's on the back, flip over. And Carson and Jack are like, it's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Like, and they made a good point. You're in the final, we had 6 teams in this episode. You can't help anybody. If I was on the race, sorry, you're on your own because I don't want to lose. I don't want to be that team.
The only thing I would think about, I think, for this leg specifically is the component of having to be on foot, basically, or take public transportation, because that's already going to be like a hurdle for some teams.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, if you want to share the info and you know in your brain, okay, I can probably outrun this team, or I can probably navigate the public transportation better than they can, then maybe I'd be willing to share the clue. So I think it does kind of depend, but I don't know. It was just kind of weird, but I also just think it was a hard challenge, and only like 2 of the teams out of the 6 knew how to do it. So it's like, whatever.
Well,
I think the only way they were going to get through is if they helped each
only
other.
knew how to do it because they got lucky and finally flipped it over. The cipher over, or else they would probably have been stuck there at the same time.
Yeah, so it was just such a mess. Okay, so then we hit the roadblock of this episode, which I loved this as well. So after searching for the next clue, they find out that one member of each team will learn a Bulgarian folk dance called horo, where they will dance with a group of dancers. And this was so much fun. So they basically got one person to train with. They had to wear like a traditional kind of, wear that they would wear in Bulgaria. And then you dance in this just huge line of dancers. And I have to say, besides maybe 1 or 2 of them,
they did pretty
most of them did very well. Even Melinda, who was not doing very well, she crushed this. Erica's mom, like, she just went out there and, I mean, she did it in the first try.
I mean, I was kind of watching their feet as they did it, and I feel like it wasn't like the most complex of dance moves. But I'm so uncoordinated, I probably still would have struggled with it.
The funny thing about this leg is, honestly, most of them, like, it was very tight. It felt like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of had you knew it was going to be Alyssa and Josiah or Brett and Mark that were going to win first place. And spoiler alert, when we get to the pit stop, Brett and Mark do end up taking first place. But it's mostly because Alyssa and Josiah went into the express pass, which kind of helped Brett and Mark out.
But you know what? That gives them that leg up in another
Yeah,
leg.
exactly. So then you had Alyssa and Josiah and Jonathan and Anna really close. And then it was down to Jack and Carson, Melinda, Erica, and Han and Holden. Okay, Jack and Carson get away. They get it really quick. So then it's between Han and Holden, Melinda and Erica. Ooh. By the skin of their teeth, Han and Holden get there first. But wait, because, okay. Remember how I said just a few moments ago that you are not allowed to take any taxis on this leg? Okay, well, we were both talking about this. While watching this episode, imagine me, I'm at home watching this on my computer doing Lord knows what. And I look up and I see Melinda and Erica in a taxi. And I'm like, that's really weird. And then the same thing happened to Charlie.
I did a double take. I was like, wait, what?
And I was like, this makes no sense because I thought you weren't supposed to be in a taxi. So then I noticed multiple times during the episode, they're in taxis. And I'm like, you were not supposed to be in taxis. So I'm like, for the love of Amazing Race gods, can you please address this? So when Melinda and Erica get to the pit stop, Bill's like, hey, reread your clue real quick. So they reread it and they're like, oh, it says, do not take a taxi, when Erica thought it read to take a taxi. So what's interesting is, I was reading this online, technically speaking, had they not been in last place, there probably more than likely would have been a penalty against them.
I was wondering, I was like, would they be eliminated? Would they have to go back and do it all again?
I don't think they would have had to redo. I think what would have happened is the execs of the show would have decided some kind of time penalty that would have affected them, and basically they would have had to wait out for the time to go up. And if, like, for example, here's the thing, they were gonna go home either way, because let's say they got there before Han and Holden, they probably would have had, let's say, a 30-minute time penalty. Okay, well, if Han and Holden were right there, they were gonna get there anyway.
Yeah.
What I did find interesting, though, so I did speak with Melinda and Erica this week, and they were kind of saying, though, that they were like, even though we weren't supposed to take the taxis, they're like, we're not really mad that we did, because they were like, there's no way. She was like, my mom could not have done this all by foot. And she was like, and then the public transportation, you would have had to wait and figure that out. So she was like, either way, we probably would have come in last. So she's like, I'm just happy that we got a little bit of time to get off our feet and that we still were able to complete it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because she was like, regardless, I think we probably would have come in last in this, like, given how far back we were and just given her mom's situation. So I don't know, I thought that was really interesting. I was like, I haven't seen a rule break like that in a long time on The Amazing Race, I feel like.
I was very curious how that would affect them. But I mean, I guess the penalty would have made sense.
Yeah.
Because I figured, my thought process was, even if they beat Han and Holden there, they were going to be the ones out, just in general, not because of a penalty, but I wasn't sure. I don't think since I've been watching The Amazing Race, there's been anybody that's missed a rule like that.
I feel like it's been a while, but yeah, it was super fascinating to watch. So I don't know, so we have 5 teams left, and
I need
2 weeks away from the finale.
Jonathan and Anna out. Let me
I
tell you.
I don't think they're going to.
Did you catch in the beginning of this episode when he's like, "I'm in a bad mood"? Like the very beginning of the leg.
Yeah.
Why are you already in a bad mood?
I don't always. It's just not that serious. I'm like, you are racing around the world with your wife. You should be happier than ever.
And he got what, second or third this time, and they still didn't. He still didn't seem happy. I'm like,
so I don't know. I cannot keep up. My prediction. This might sound bad. My prediction is that Hunt and Holden will likely be out next.
You think so?
Because the other 4 teams have been very strong.
That's true.
And yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting. I will be almost more interested to see at this point who makes it into the final 3 into the finale, because I think it's going to be really close.
Honestly, I like, if we take Hunt and Holden out in the next episode, I like our other 3 teams, not counting, leaving out Jonathan and
Jack and Carson, Alyssa Josiah, and Brett and Mark. Yeah.
I like those 3 teams. I'm okay with any of those 3 winning.
Yeah.
As long as it's not Jonathan and Anna.
That's super fair. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. I do know this next episode, we leave Bulgaria and we venture down to Italy. I believe they're going to Naples. And it looks like a very Italian-based leg. Like they're
making mozzarella.
Something with pizza. It looked like they were roaming the streets of Naples. So it looks very fun. It looks like a great leg. So I'm excited to see what happens. But all right, you guys, 2 weeks away from the finale, or 3 weeks, one of the two. And that is it for this recap of The Amazing Race. It airs Wednesdays on CBS.